Gets good, great, and grand, glorious rising, dear family. Wagwan, hola, konnichiwa, shalom, shalom, and shalom to every melanated man, woman, and child on this planet. BKA, according to the soul's truth, all things which harbor the power of the universal soul, spirit of life. And more importantly, all of ye which bear the mark of the universal spirit's visible soul skin. I am just a man with the conviction, treading wisely. What is my conviction? How wisely? My firmly held belief and or firmly held opinion is that God will have his world, God will have his people moving God's speed forever. Soul speed, one belief and one foundation. And how wisely? Because I have the knowledge of the soul's truth, experience with the spirit's ways, as well as its good and balanced judgment of both of them. Now, I desire to plant my experience and knowledge within the ethos of your world in order for its germination to elicit out of the mind, hearts, and actions of the people better behavior by any moral means necessary, using what could be known as Christ logic, or hyperlogic, or balanced logic. Check these words out. I want to take a crack at explaining a few things with this video here. What am I going to take a crack at explaining? Long story short, turning humanity into my ticket into Club Immortalist. That's what this video is going to be called. Turning humanity into my ticket into Club Immortalist. Or should I say it like this? Changing humanity into, or morphing humanity into the ticket I need, which will give me access to Club Immortalist. Morphing humanity into my ticket into Club Immortalist. Too many intos. I didn't want to say too many intos with the title, but moving forward though. So, how am I going to do that? I'm just going to explain some things to you. Just going to keep explaining some things to you. I got a lot of things I can explain. Lots of things. So I'm just going to keep on doing it. And the more I explain to my God, BKA humanity itself, the more I explain things to you, the better you get. I see my God is listening to me. I really love you, my God. I really do. And now that I know who God actually is and how to talk to it, or talk to him, or talk to the power thereof, now that I know how to actually talk to the power of God, oh, I got a whole lot of things I'm about to pray directly to your face, my God. A whole lot of things I'm about to pray directly to your face. I can't wait. It's a whole lot of things that you haven't been doing, God. Why haven't you been doing it? You have been allowing yourself to suffer the way you have been allowing yourself to suffer for a very long time. My God, when are you going to stop it? When are you going to realize that there is something attacking you and bombarding you with these attacks and it won't stop attacking you? My God, when are you going to realize this? When are you going to be the God that I have heard so much about in all the stories growing up? Turns out now, my God, meaning humanity itself, my God is humanity. It turns out that all the stories that were told about you in the Bible were all fiction. It turns out you weren't the one doing any of those things to yourself in the Old Testament, my God. That wasn't any of you at all. That's the side of the story, though, of what I desire to explain here. I desire to turn all of humanity into a ticket into Club Immortalist. How I'm going to do that? By explaining a few things. So, right now, I desire to explain how to reconnect logic and emotion. I'm going to start there. How to reconnect logic and emotion. Real quick. Brother Nelly Fuller, who makes the hip-hop cartoons, he brought this topic up. I've been sitting on this here topic of mine for quite a while because I've mastered the reconnection of logic and emotions. I've mastered it. However, Brother Nelly Fuller, when he brought it up in his hip-hop cartoons, I had a prognosis that my God was, that a portion of my God somewhere, either on YouTube or in the world, was going to just bring it up. And I already knew that it was going to be time to start talking about it. I already knew. The thing is, the whole logic and emotion reconnect part for me, I have mastered it internally. Of course, that's easy. It's easy to master the reconnection of logic and emotion internally, but externally, externally, reconnecting logic with emotions externally. It's only tough due to all the things consistently bombarding the God soul seed shards, or BKA women, God's shards, because we are the soul base, we are the soul home, we are God's soul home, and our women are God's soul shards, or soul fragments, or soul livers, because person lives inside of a home. The men are the soul base, or the soul jewel, or the soul foundation, so to speak. Men are soul foundations. Women are the soul pieces, or the soul shards, or the soul fragments that stand with the man and or in his foundation or on his foundation. So, reconnecting logic with emotions. Reconnecting them on an internal, interpersonal concept is easy. It's effortless. How do you do it? Know what the words are that label and describe your emotions and logic. Just know what those words are. But then it's externally, though. Bringing the emotions of our women back to we. Because our women are our emotions. Our soul seed shards are our emotions. Now, Brother Nelly Fuller, when you brought it up in your hip-hop cartoons recently, I'm not saying that you're the only one that spoke on reconnecting logic and emotions. It's just you recently brought it up since I've been talking. And I knew that as soon as somebody brought it up, I was going to be kind of sort of, because of how my line of planning here is working, I knew that once someone started talking about reconnecting logic with emotions, I was going to have to talk about that pronto. Why? To push it faster. Once it surfaced somewhere and multiple people began to realize the importance of the reconnection, that's when it was going to be really time for me to start focusing on that topic right there. But the thing is, why is it difficult for me to speak on, so to speak? Because the difficult it is to actually do it for someone like me at the current moment in time. You follow what I'm saying? In the current right now, it's hard for me to completely, fully reconnect logic with emotions. For me personally, at the current moment in time. Because in the sense of reconnecting logic and emotions, the logic emotion reconnect in spirit sense is like dating talk. In the spiritual world, reconnecting logic and emotion is like dating talk in your world. You follow what I'm saying? Like all this relationship talk right there, all that relationship talk right there, that's what reconnecting logic and emotions is going to be like. The topic of reconnecting logic with emotions is going to be like y'all relationship talk. That's exactly what it's going to be like. And that's, and the reconnect of logic and emotions all the way to 100% is because it is a relationship talk. I didn't really want to do too much of it, but I already knew that once somebody brought it up, if anyone brought it up, I was going to have to talk about it to push the concept faster. Because the thing is, once the concept gets pushed and people start focusing more so on reconnecting logic and emotions, what's ultimately going to happen? A lot of relationship problems are going to end. Because people will see the value and importance in themselves more effectively, if this makes sense to you. So, go check out Brother Nelly Fuller's hip-hop cartoon channel. Real good info there. So, reconnecting logic and emotions. How do you do it on an interpersonal level? Know what the words mean. What is logic? Logic is reasoning conducted or assessed according to strict principles of validities. Reasoning conducted or assessed. Reasoning conducted or assessed according to strict principles of validities. Strict principles. What is a principle? A principle is the fundamental truth or proposition that serves as a foundation for a system of beliefs or behavior, or for a chain of reasoning. Remember, that's what a principle is. A foundation that you stand on internally as your truth. Now, moving forward. Reasoning conducted or assessed according to strict principles of validities. What is validity? Think about that word validity for a moment. Validity, meaning what you have validated with thine own eyes. Ashe? With thine own eyes, which you have validated in your reality. Information that you have validated. Knowledge that you have accumulated. Facts, informations, and skills gathered by you as an individual. That is what it means to validate something. So when you validate, when you validate with your knowledge, the principles of your validations, you're using reasoning. What is reasoning? To communicate with it. What is reasoning? Or using reasoning to conduct it. What is reasoning? Reasoning is to think. Reasoning is the act of thinking about something in a logical, sensible way. The act of thinking about something. The act of thinking about something in a logical, sensible way. Thinking about something. That's what reasoning is. Thinking about something. The act of thinking. Thinking. How do you think? Using your mind, right? Moving forward, real simple stuff. Like I said, reconnecting it on a personal level is real simple. Just know what the words are that's labeling and describing your logic and emotions, and then you'll know how to reconnect them, just like that. But that's just you personally. I'm going to get to the external in a moment. Now, emotions. What is an emotion? An emotion is a natural, instinctive state of mind, not deriving from one's mood, circumstances, and relationships with others, because those things are outside of you. An emotion is a natural, instinctive state of mind deriving from the spirit soul's nature, meaning the power inside of you. A natural, instinctive state of mind, though. State of mind, state of mind, state of mind. Where is your ability to think in your mind? A part of your natural, instinctive state of mind. Reconnecting logic with emotions personally or internally. This is how you do it. Just know what the words are so you can reconnect them properly. So, thinking with your natural, instinctive state of mind. Does it sound like you're thinking with your feelings when I say it like that? You're not. Want to know why? Because you're thinking with the power, or you're thinking with, or you're using words that you have validated. You're using words that you have validated, or you're using a concept and or action or strategy that you have personally validated. Remember, when you think from feelings, you think from experience. You don't think from validations. You think from experience. Now, a validation and experience, could those be considered the same thing? Sure, because in order to validate something, you have to experience it, right? You can look at it however you want to, but either way it goes, this is how you reconnect it, just by knowing what they are and knowing how to use them properly as such. Because always remember, never forget, everything about you is all hooked up. It's all hooked up. Everything is. So when you go around, even when you go around saying what you feel like, you're still labeling and describing what you're thinking. It's all hooked up and connected. But the thing is, using the concept of feelings, though, remember, everything came from the enemy, my family. As far as the information that we have, it all comes with a lie and a truth concomitantly. It all comes with a problem and a solution concomitantly. It all comes with a poison and a potion concomitantly. It all comes with a yes and a no concomitantly. It all comes with a you can do this, but you can't do this at the same time concomitantly. It all comes with a this is what it is, but this is also what it's not concomitantly. You follow what I'm saying? It all comes with that. Everything that comes from the enemy comes with those anecdotes, or with that method of presentation. It all does. So even though using terms like feel like is still labeling and describing someone thinking fluidly, you're limiting yourself in regards to how you communicate. You follow what I'm saying? You're limiting yourselves in your capacity of knowledge, if this makes sense to you. So let's look at it this way. What is a feel? An experience and or an emotion. That's what a feel is. A feel is an experience or an emotion. That's all it is. So, knowing what the words are, though, like I said, having logically validated what the words are and their meaning of the words, puts you or gives you a chance to access your natural instinctive state of mind's thinking. You follow what I'm saying? Your natural instinctive state of mind's thinking activates more fluidly when you just simply have the validation of the words logic and emotion registered in your mind. That's the fastest way to connect them intrapersonally or internally. The fastest way to reconnect logic and emotions internally for one's personal self is to just have the words validated and know how to use them. But then it's the concept of using them. Remember, reasoning is the act of thinking about something in a logical, sensible way. And then when you combine emotions with your logic internally and personally, it's the act of using your natural instinctive state of mind to think about something in a logical, sensible way. You follow what I'm saying? You can use, now that you got not logic and emotions, the knowledge of the words mastered, you can actually take the definitions and or meanings of the words and just start combining them, reconnecting them, you see. So here's another way to reconnect your logic and emotions personally. Use your natural, or this, go, use the act or perform the act of using your natural instinctive state of mind to think about something in a logical, sensible way. Or defining emotion alone by saying it in this regard. An emotion is a natural instinctive state of mind, not deriving from one's moods, circumstances, or relationships with others, but an emotion is a natural instinctive state of mind deriving from the internal mind and internal heart, or the internal spirit and the internal soul, or the internal character and the internal behavior. An emotion is a natural instinctive state of mind deriving from your internal character and or your internal behavior. An emotion is a natural, logic and emotion is a natural instinctive state of, logic and emotion is the act of thinking about something with your logical sense, with your natural instinctive state of mind, with its powers deriving from your spirit and or your soul, character and or your behavior, mind and or heart. Moving forward. That is the simplest way to reconnect logic with emotions. Know what the words mean and know how to apply them. Now, externally, if those words make sense to you just now, externally, moving forward, in my efforts of turning humanity into the ticket, into Club Immortalist, I want to explain what that means momentarily too. Externally, real quick. Logic. See, this is the part that's hard to explain because of my history. And this is why I would like to just move past it and just explain other things. Because the reality is, how can I explain something of a good nature if I myself personally as a man never experienced it? The only thing I can explain is what it would be like if I had it. That's just logic right there, you see. So moving forward then, I have to reconnect my shard with my reality in order to reconnect my logic with the emotions of my physical world. Long story short, I got to get a girlfriend. Moving forward. So, what do I mean by immortalist now? I'm going to talk about that before this video gets too far and too deep and too long. What do I mean by an immortalist? Think about it. You have your racist and your racisms. You have your feminist and your feminisms. All these little belief systems you got. All these ist and isms you got. They give your belief systems what they give them. I want to introduce a new one to the field. Say hello to the immortalist. One who shuns and despises any and all things anti-life. That's what an immortalist is, according to my logic, and emotions combined so they will describe what it is. I abhor death. I abhor things that make people suffer to death. I despise them. I despise it all. So just by me explaining this to you and letting you know that I do, it's going to be in your head now just because you watched it and heard me say it. You experienced me say this. You felt me say this according to the enemy's setup of how words work or how concepts reach people. I am not saying anything for you to feel my words because you can't literally feel words. You can experience them being said, though. You're experiencing me say these words, meaning you're validating me say these words. Emotions and logic connected. So, hear me say these words. I am against, completely, any and all things anti-life. I am against any and all things anti-life. I am completely against any and all things anti-life. Why? Because I'm a table flipping immortalist. That's why. I abhor death. I abhor violence. I abhor hatred. I hate hatred. Who hates hatred? I hate arguing. Anything that leads to conflict, suffering, and dying, I despise it. And that is all this world, the ethos of this world, the illegal government we have of this world, the recessive genoclass people that give power to the beast and serve the demon, who could just at any moment say, you know what, I quit, I don't want to do this anymore, and the world would slowly walk into global peace. Why? Because they are the only people on the planet giving power to the beast. As soon as they stop giving power to the beast, all of them, it is over with. You want to know something else too? Once the recessive genoclass people all leave at the same time and turn away from this government at the same time and stop serving this evil demon at the same time, you want to know something? She'll lose her power to end them all when they choose to do so. Want to know why? Because she won't have any power to end them all. Logic with emotions connected. That's all this is, just explaining, using it. Just using logic and emotions connected to explain something. Did you know that in order to tap into the 5-dimension level of thinking, you'd have... No, let me say this again. The 7 dimensions of thinking. There are 8 dimensions in total, but 7 one person can tap into because the 8th dimension is literally the Most High himself, itself. I don't like to look at God with a gender. I don't. I just like to see it as a power because that's what it truly is, a power. So does that mean I don't like to see humanity with genders? Is that what you're saying? Does humanity have a gender to you? Of course you do, because physical, we have concepts, moral rules that we follow behind. Oh yeah, I wanted to say this real quick. When you fully finish describing and you fully finish labeling, describing, and defining what the word moral means, when you come to the end of the loop, what it really tells you or what it really translates to or what it really defines as or what it really means is what's acceptable by society. What's acceptable by society? Meaning, does society see that wrong, or does the society see that as good? Does society see that as imbalance, or does society see that as something that's going to be balancing? Does society see that as something that is going to be right or wrong, good or bad? That's it. When you fully finish defining the word morals, at the end of its loop, it's just what society deems as acceptable. What society deems as right or wrong. What society deems as good or bad. But how is our society right now currently? Because from what my understanding sees, your discernment is garbage. But why is it garbage? Did something make it garbage? You know what? From what my history sees, or from what my understanding sees, it's a rhetorical question. Yeah, I saw who made it garbage, and I'm looking at who's making it garbage now. And what does garbage need to be done to... I said the words wrong. Taken out. Trash needs to be taken out, right? You the man of the house. Don't trash need to be taken out? Take the garbage out. Y'all see God as a man, don't you? Okay, be God and take the trash out then. Be God and take the trash out of yourself then. Oh yeah, I want to throw this out here too. That theory I had about our literal universe itself being in the shape of God, or being in the shape of a man, or being in the image of a man, or being in the likeness of a man. Our literal cosmos itself being in the image and likeness of a man. I said those words in a short, right? I want to kind of sort of piggyback on that, or lean on that little personal theory of mine for this video here as well, in order to turn humanity into my ticket into Club Immortalists, where things stop dying. That's it. Moving forward. So, it's like we are God living inside of God, right? I said that. Okay, if that's the case, wouldn't we also be God's inner works right now, currently, technically? Aren't we God's literal inner works here? Aren't we? Think about that for a second. Think about that for a second. Use the act of thinking about something in a logical, sensible way with your natural instinctive state of mind. Logic and emotions connected. Personally, you're going to need a woman in your life, though, as a man in order to do the rest of it. I'm going to talk about the 7 in a minute, though. How to tap into the full 7. But here, give me a second. Yeah, but think about that for a second. We, as humanity, are God's inner works, meaning the cosmos itself, we are its inner works. We are its fixing of itself. We are its piecing its issues together and solving its problems. We are God's organisms. We are God's cells. We are God's blood. We are God's voice. We are the works of God. We are the behavior of God. We are the character of God. We are God. Or you can just remove the name God entirely and just put the spirit, and just leave the spirit soul there. Because that's what I'm talking about. Whenever I speak of God, whenever I say God, whenever I'm talking about God personally, I am speaking of the spirit soul inside of all of humanity. That is what I am talking about when I am referring to God. Whenever I say we are God, I am speaking of the spirit and soul in unison inside of all of humanity. Just like logic and emotions in unison inside of all of humanity. Just like the character, how it dictates the behavior, unison throughout all of humanity. You follow what I'm saying? Whenever I speak of God, whenever I speak of a most high, whenever I speak of a God, whenever I speak of an entity that's above ourselves, but at the same time not, because it is us, I'm speaking of the spirit and the soul. That is what I'm speaking of. And whenever I hear any of you talk, that's God talking in my mind. That's God talking in my mind and heart right there. When I hear any of you speak, that is the literal God talking in my mind and heart. That's how I see you. I'm just going to keep on getting my teeth on your spiritual necks until I drag you into what I need you to be, my ticket into Club Immortalist. Turning humanity into the ticket into Club Immortalist. That's what this is here. I am against any and all things anti-life. All things. Moving forward, though. Even abortion. So, peep game. The 7 dimensions of thought power. In reality, it's also 8 dimensions of thought power. The soul, star, chakra, in other words. But that's the literal most high itself. That's just the foundation then. We're already tapped into that one naturally. But here's the thing. The 7, though. Right now, everyone is operating out of a 2-dimensional lens. What they see and they feel. I am talking things to get you to operate out of a 3-dimensional lens. What you think, see, and feel. I am operating out of a 5-dimensional lens, though, in order to perform this task. What I think, see, and feel, using my crown and my eye. Here, let me explain this more thoroughly real quick. How to tap into the dimensions. How to elicit insight of the inner dimensions that we have. Remember, we got 7 that we have access to, but then there's the 8th one that is the literal most high itself, and that's what you can label and describe as the soul star chakra. So that's just the foundation we stand on. Let's look at the 7 real quick. So you got the root, sacral, solar, and you got the heart, Vishuddha or throat chakra, ajna, and the crown, right? Those 7. So when you tap into a 3 dimension of thinking, you're only tapping in to the root. Or when you tap into the 2-dimensional thinking, you're only tapping into the root, half the sacral, and half the solar. It's the root, half the sacral, and half the solar. That's what a 2-dimensional thinker can only do. The root, half the sacral, and half the solar. Why is it only from them? Because think about how the indoctrination works. The indoctrination is to entrench and elicit of you wrath, greed, pride, and envy, and sloth, lust, and ignorance. You follow what I'm saying? Or the 7 deadly sins and ignorance and fear. 9 things. Ignorance and fear at the end, with the 7 deadly sins at the beginning. Wrath, greed, gluttony, lust, pride, envy, and sloth. Fear and ignorance. That's what the indoctrination wants out of you. So in order to do that, or that's what the devil wants from you. So in order to do that, it has to keep you in your lowest state of vibrations. Your lowest state of vibrations. How does it do that? Keeping you separated from your family and keeping you chopped off from the rest of the world. Period. So when you operate from a 2-dimensional lens, it's only your root and half your sacral and half your solar. Half of each, half of each, half of each. Why do I say half? Because in order to complete it, meaning in order to have the whole sacral and the whole solar in your access, or to have entirety of access to the sacral and the solar, you're going to need a woman in your life. Or a man in your life as a woman. You follow what I'm saying? It's just I'm a man who's talking, so the first thing I'm going to think of is a woman, you see. I'm missing my half of my sacral and my half of my solar. And if I had those abilities, I'd be able to tap into more dimensions. But moving forward, though, now check this out. I want to get you all to a 3-dimensional lens right now, currently. So in order to do that, I'm just going to explain some things, and it's going to bring you all, because right now, virtually everybody is separated from each other. So, you know, it's impossible almost to connect to physical logic and emotions. It's almost impossible to connect that right now, but in time we can fix that as well. I'm moving forward because I know the video is getting ready to cut out if I don't hurry and land my point. So the half of sacral, half of solar. When we come back together, we'll have access to our full sacral and our full solar, our full sacral chakra and our full solar plexus chakra. We'll have access to them once men and women come back together, and in order to give access to those two in their full entirety. So that would mean a full roots and a full sacral and a full solar. Then you see those 3 right there, or at least you'll have access to elicit insight from them. Now, me personally, due to how my situation is, I'm tapped into a 5-dimensional. Now let me explain this. I'm tapped into a 5-dimensional. This has got to make sense. I'm gonna do another video where I can explain it without rushing, because I'm running out of time. But I'm tapped into a 5-dimensional insight. I can elicit a 5-dimensional insight. How do I elicit a 5-dimensional insight? Because I have awareness of mind, heart, body, crown, and eye. Crown and eye. Mind, heart, body, crown, and eye. Mind, heart, body, crown, and eye. How is that explained with the chakra language? From what my understanding sees, I am tapped in to full access of my root, half of my solar, half of my sacral, heart, Vishuddha, and ajna. Remember, this is the foundation, so you don't necessarily have to count that when you speak in this regard. I hope this makes sense. Give me a second. I say 5-dimensional. I don't say a 6-dimensional. I had to think about it for a second. I'm gonna do another video explaining these dimension insight tap-ins so you can have, because see, ultimately what I'm getting at is this. I have awareness of these energies inside of me, and I can elicit insight from them to label and describe certain things. So I'm tapped into a 5-dimensional view. This is how you can tap into a 5-dimensional view. This is how to label and describe it. Roots, half the sacral, half the solar. That makes 2 right there because it's both the halves. But the thing is, I can move on to the 7 and or the 8th, once I get so roots, half the sacral, half the solar. Those are the first two right there, meaning see and feel. Then you also have the heart. Tap into that as well. I have the awareness of the throat and awareness of the ajna. I would count this as well as a 6-dimensional thought viewpoint, but no, I only operate from a 5 right now currently because I don't have the other tools I need to make the whole 7 or to get the whole 7 into my possession. I'm going to explain more thoroughly in another video of how to tap in though, or how to elicit insight from the awareness of the 7 chakra gates. Shalom, shalom, shalom. This ain't a victim mentality. I'm just aware of what struck me, aware of what's stricken we, and aware of what will not stop striking us at all. Which is why I don't desire to be your king or your leader. I only desire to do something that will defend and protect you from the strikers. It ain't about a competition with me. It's only about the awareness and knowledge of what needs to be stopped. Therefore, be lifted in the spirit. Messed up my lines. Russian. I don't desire to be your king or your leader. I only desire to defend and protect you. Therefore, love your neighbors, you love yourself. Defend your neighbors, you defend yourself. Be lifted in the spirit and walk good forever. Peace, love, unity, and advancement to you all, my family.